I didn't realize this would be a benefit in real estate, but I think I heard this from, who's the Tom Ferry, aggressive lead follow-up. so, yep.
Welcome to the Growth Drivers Podcast, a show where we break down the leadership frameworks, mindset shifts, and strategies that fuel entrepreneurial success, personal transformation, and business breakthroughs.
I'm Rachael Novak.
And I'm Mike Novak.
Let's dive in and start driving your growth. Welcome back to another episode of the Growth Drivers Podcast. Today is a special episode. Novak is traveling, and so I get to take over the reins of the microphones and invited our very good friend, teammate, brother, Chuck Weinberg to join me today.
Hey,
welcome,
thanks.
Chuck.
Thanks. This is fun.
This is fun. I love it. It's kind of fun we converse every day in person and text and all the ways.
Things.
Yep. But it's fun to do it with some microphones in front of our face this
there
time.
you go.
So let's start, of course, with anybody who maybe listens to this and doesn't know who Chuck Weinberg is. Who is Chuck? What is it that you do, love, and tell us a little about you.
Dang it. I'm going to be emotional today, I guess. Yeah. So I'm a grandpa. I have 10. I on purpose share a house with my daughter, son-in-law, and 5 of my 10 grandkids. The other 5 grandkids and my son and daughter-in-law live about 10 to 15 minutes away, depending on traffic. We have a son who lives in Kobe, Japan, who is a linguist and is very proficient in Asian languages, loves language, loves teaching. My other son who lives close to us, he's a PhD. My son-in-law who we live with, he's a teacher at our school. I've been married for 41 years, so long time. I met my wife and I told her that I was going to marry her on the day that I met her. She was not impressed. I didn't realize this would be a benefit in real estate, but I think I heard this from, who's the Tom Ferry,
Sure.
aggressive lead follow-up.
You were practicing on Teresa way back when.
Yep. So for a whole year, she was really not convinced that she wanted to hang out with me because I was pretty crazy. And it took me a year of lead follow-up to convince her that maybe it was a good idea. So that was actually 45 years ago because we were 16. Both of us. Got to do a whole bunch of things in my life, traveled a lot, a bunch with the Novaks, which is some kind of peak life experiences. Owned a granite countertop company before coming into real estate. Before that, I was a tire guy for 20 years. Have always been in some kind of leadership. Even as a little kid, I didn't let everybody else lead. That was just kind of who I was. I didn't know that. I just something needs to be done. Well, nobody else is doing it. I guess that's me.
Yeah.
So, I think that one of the things that makes me really tick, is about who I am is that I actually really like people. I'm curious. And sometimes I really hate people.
Working with any part of the general public, whether it's real estate, tires, custom granite countertop and home, people,
all the things.
People can be tough.
Yeah. And they're also, anybody who's listening to this, if they're real estate, that they know that there are those clients. I just had one, they're a family of 14, and literally a family of 14 people, multi-generational, just like we are. And, maybe they're going to be the highlight of my year client.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just super thankful. Everything was, thank you so much for putting up with us. And they were really easy to put up with. They made my
the
job.
dream client.
Right.
Yeah.
You have those, and then you have the other ones, some other ones we were just talking about that are super crazy. And you get all. right?
Yeah.
So there's never a dull moment.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, that kind of like prompts me a little bit in regards to, let's change this order. When you were in the granite countertop business, walk us through a little bit, what happened and what pivoted you into real estate to really make that your next career.
Yeah, well, and I think I'll even back up a little bit because I think it'll be helpful for people who are maybe thinking about making a transition or whatever.
Yeah.
So when I started in the countertop business, I was really successful at the Les Schwab store, at the tire store. I was a manager. They wanted me to be a zone manager. I didn't want to move my family. And like, there was just some things within that. And I say principled living is expensive. So like, if you're going to stand on this thing, it might cost you, and it might cost you time. It might cost you money. It might cost you relationships. There's a lot of different things in costs, but
hold on, say that again.
Principled living is expensive.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah,
so like
super good.
We have that right now.
Yes.
Like the ascension phase that we're in, there's a lot of people. So like we have a principle that we're like, this is how we're going to live.
Mm-hmm.
And we already know there's a whole bunch of people that don't want to live like that.
Right.
And that's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to be really part of our ecosystem, you have to keep up.
Yeah.
Right. And like, we're a lot. We're a handful.
Yes, we are. A couple handfuls.
Yeah. Yeah. We're a basketball.
Yeah.
And so like so for me, I was like, hey, I can't fully support what the organization was doing. It's a big company. And I just didn't love some of the things. I loved all of the things about the customer side, but my job was to hire employees that sooner or later were going to kick me out of the job, right? Like, you're hiring people that you want to
replace you,
stand on your shoulders and be like way better than you.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, hey, we're working these guys way too much. They're all going to end up divorced because they're just here all the time. There's no work-life balance. Like we talk about that. And their wives, like most of the time they're young moms with kids, and they're like, well, where's my husband?
Yeah, I didn't sign up to do this alone. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I kept saying to the leadership, like, again, I was pretty high up, but like I would say to the zone managers and district zone managers and the VPs, like, we need to do it different. Like, this is not the right way to do this. We're not going to, our people are our thing. Like they're what drives the company, and we're going to drive them away. So if their domain of balance with family is in the toilet all the time because they're always in business, that's not going to help them, like really ascend.
Yeah.
And so I left, and it was like, they thought I was crazy. And at that time, I was really the only one who left without being fired or retired. I mean, it was that good of a gig. But I was like, no, you
found yourself out of alignment.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. I wanted, I'm like, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
And so I started a granite countertop company with a friend of mine from church who'd literally never installed a granite countertop. I didn't know that. I would have done it a little differently.
I was just going to say, would that have shifted your...
So I'm a tactile guy. So like I like working with my hands. This week I put in a water heater in my house because we can't be without a water heater. Like, it's nice to have those skills and to not be fearful of those things. But if I'd have known that he didn't ever install a granite countertop, I probably would have said, hey, I like the idea of this countertop business, but I'm going to go work for another countertop company and get some skills before we start our company. Like, I could make some money. We get into the thing, and it's like, he says, we'll do memorials, and kitchen countertops are easy. Well, they're easy for him because he was just like ordering them, and somebody else was doing all the work. He didn't do it. And so then when we get our first container from India, I'm like, how do we cut this underground sink out? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Like, he didn't want to do that work. It's totally fine, but it would have been really nice to know ahead of time, right? Yeah. So like we took it from like, I fabricated with another guy, not him, not my business partner, outside with no roof for 2.5 years. So like, cold. Like we had really good tans in the summer,
Yeah.
and it was really cold in the winter because everything you do with granite countertops is water.
Right.
So like if you didn't stand them up before you left at night, they were literally frozen to the table in the morning.
Yeah.
And so you have to heat it up, and you got to be careful because if you heat it up too fast, you can snap it, like all the things, right?
Goodness.
So huge learning curve.
Mhm.
And it's really fun because it's, like part of me is like design and fashion,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
this is like really connected to house, so like color's important, like getting this exactly right. It's like, I think I would do this one over here.
Mhm. Mhm.
So it was fun because I was actually able to work hard and I was getting to like help people.
Mhm.
And then, so we went from there to ordering basically blanks from India. So we would do the drawings, send them. This is before you could do digital templates. So we would send those drawings to India and they would make them. And then 3 months later, they would come to us
Oh, wow.
all packaged up. And then we would take them out. Well, like just because you draw it as a 90 degree, they're going to make it perfectly as a 90 degree. Well, it might be an 89 degree corner
Mhm.
in the house because the house is crooked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or this 22 and a half degree corner or 45 degree is not exactly the same. And so like your reveals are off.
Just slightly off. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so like
Yeah.
for me, like it took me about 8 months to order the tires and wheels for my new car because like they have to be perfect. and like,
Yeah.
and
Precision matters.
yeah. And well, and I mean, we're working on $2, $3, $4 million houses. Like it does matter.
Mhm.
And so like, I'm like, how do we fix this? Well, at that time, there was no fix. Like these people have been waiting for this the whole time.
Jeez,
and now it gets here
months.
and it's jacked up. So like the big iterations along the way, we built a shop, made it into 15 countertops a week. So we were doing 15 kitchens a week. And then 2008 hit. It's like, oh crap, nobody needs granite countertops. Like you guys went through that in the building. And so we didn't feel it right away because we had a lot of new builds. And so people were already started. They were,
had to finish them.
they were, and a lot of times our clients are well heeled. So, they're working on a $2 million project down in Bellevue or Issaquah or whatever, and they're just paying cash for it. So it doesn't really matter. But it hit us in June of 2009. Like it went to half like that.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh no. What just happened? I literally was thinking, well, maybe we're sort of immune to this. And then we weren't.
Right.
And so it just kept getting crazier and crazier as a like something that would be an encouragement to your audience. So like it's my business. I'm personally guaranteed all over this thing, land, buildings, inventory, like it was crazy. And as it was starting to really get evident that this is probably not going to fly, like you guys were on your $15 minimum wage, right? I'm like, I said to my wife of that time, it would be, 15 years ago. So, 25-ish years. I said, hey, just, if this crashes, we're starting over. Like we're starting at zero. Like I didn't know how far below zero, but we were going to at least be zero because like my name is on all of this stuff. And like this fast, she said, you need to partner like this. She said, well, when we got married, we didn't have anything and it was okay. So you just go do what you can do and it'll be fine. And so it took about another 8 months for that to end, and it ended pretty I would say ugly because my former partner did whatever it was legal for him to do, and so we left with all that blood, sweat, and tears of the company, like the countertop company that I actually built. Like he didn't really do any of that I built. I handed the keys over to him with zero, like literally with no money. Like I didn't have a loss, but I had all the loss of, that 10 years and of all the blood, sweat, and tears and, no paychecks for months on end and those kinds of things. So then hopping into real estate, there was a time of like, well, now what do I want to do when I grow up?
Right. Yeah. And how old were you at this time? I mean, you were like mid-50s?
Well, so yes, 50. Yeah, 51.
51. Okay.
51.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And
so you're 51 years old. You're at zero.
Yep. Yeah, we have a super cool house that we built.
You're right.
But a payment that we really couldn't afford.
Yeah.
So like I started having to take distributions off my retirement that I had built, just to make it, because like that was a big nut, and now I have nothing.
Yeah.
So I did a bunch of different things, and just trying to find like some synergy of like, hey, I really want to do this. And that I actually went back. I would say it was humbling and good at the same time. I went back and had an ownership stake at a local Les Schwab store, which is really unusual. A super good privilege. And like I was not nearly as fit as I am now, but I was fit enough. And like I want to work. I want to help customers. I don't want a big long wait. And at this store, like we really couldn't get a bunch of people that actually wanted to work hard. And so I was there for a whole year, and I said to the owners, I really appreciated the opportunity, but I said, listen, in 12 years, I'm going to own 50% of this company, which is like, again, thank you. But in 5 years, I'm not going to be able to walk, because last Monday, when we did $19,000 in sales, I did 12,500 of those.
Wow.
And like, there's days when you're just doing a rotation and there's no money that comes up. But like literally, what is one of the oldest guys in the store doing 60% of the business?
Kidding.
Like, and like, how long is that sustainable? And it was an hour drive there and an hour and a half back because of traffic. And so I just said, this is dumb. I got to do something else. Went into cars. Cars was fun and not fun because I always felt like I can't really help. So in car sales, for me, it was like, if the dealership wins, that means the customer is going to lose.
Sure.
Right? So if the dealership is really going to make a bunch of money, that means the customer is going to lose. And then conversely, if the customer gets a really good deal, then the dealership doesn't win. And then on both of those, my paycheck is dependent on that.
Right. So
into real estate, it was like, hey, I don't have any inventory. I don't have any employees. Like I don't have any accounts receivable. Like at Les Schwab, I had $1 million accounts receivable that I had to manage, because like those were all accounts I set up. And so, and in real estate, like I don't have any of those negatives, but I also have the positive. If I help somebody win as a buyer or a seller, I still get paid. And on the other side, they win. Right. So like everybody is happy. Sometimes everybody is less happy and they still win. Right?
Yeah. Yep. That's still a win sometimes. Yep.
But everybody, it's negotiated up front, basically what we're going to make. And so everybody knows what the deal is when they go into it. So for me, it's really freeing, because like I can just go help these people and I can help them. Like I can swing for the fences for them. And like the people with 14, like they're just like, we had no idea you could actually get this done for us. And they got in with their VA, but they got in with zero money out of their pocket. They got all their earnest money back.
Incredible.
Right?
That's incredible. No wonder they're happy.
and they had a whole bunch of money. And I said, like, how about if we just let you keep it? And your payment will be a little bit higher, but it's not that much. So just keep all your cash. And, so like, that's the really fun part, when you can get creative and have them win.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Totally. Yeah. So when, I mean, I love that trajectory, and you can kind of see the progression of, management, ownership, then back to, no, I know the difference between wanting to hold accounts receivable, wanting to be responsible for employees, and then getting into real estate, which is 100% dependent on your output, right? Like your output, will determine your input. And so it's a freeing kind of industry in that way, but it also presents a lot of challenges. So hold on a second.
I do want to say, because I started with this thought, I do think that a lot of people, not everybody, but a lot of people Maybe they're not a high enough D to pull this off, but there's a real fear of starting over, like they're going to fail. And I heard something the other day that the young males in the U.S., one of the biggest problems we have is they're so afraid of failure that they won't try anything.
Wow.
And so for me, like trying all those things, even as I was a kid, I did a whole bunch of things. Like you literally can start over at 40 and you can start over at 50. I'm proof.
Exactly.
Like, so don't be afraid to take this. I mean, they're similar, like countertops and how sales are similar. Like there's some connectivities.
Synergies. Yeah, of course.
But they're also like they're really different, right? But don't be afraid to jump off. Like if it's something you want to do, like go do it. Like the worst that can happen is you're starting over again.
Exactly.
Like who cares?
Exactly.
Like if you know how to make money, you're going to make money, right?
Right. Exactly.
And don't stay in the place. Like for me, a bunch of my friends, love them. A bunch of my friends stayed at that tire business for their whole careers, and a lot of them, their bodies are shot. They gave everything for the company to then like retire, to not be able to do anything. And like, well, why?
Yeah. That diminishes the quality of life later in life.
Right. Yeah. But I just want people to know, like, I am proof that you can totally start when you're old.
Yeah.
And do something new.
Yeah.
You totally should.
I love it. Is real estate what you expected? Does it feel the same as when you were first considering it and getting into it? Does it feel the same that you expected, or is it different, and how, if it is?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have a bunch of expectations, I guess. I expected to come in and work hard and to have to talk to a bunch of people. Like I was on a name. I'm not going to name the name because everybody in here, everybody who listened to this would know the person. Big team. And, like there was some, like overselling of what was going to be happening. And that's fine. Like that's just life. It's business. I think what I was expecting was maybe more support. I had less support. Not that people were not supportive,
right,
as much as an example, at that time when I first started, my team leader lived a block away, like literally a block away from me. And I had 2 offers to write on the same night, which like first world problem.
Yeah,
right?
that's a blessing. Yeah, exactly.
But I didn't know jack about what I was supposed to be doing. Like we didn't have this offer writing SOP, like you got to submit your practice offers. We didn't have any of that. And so I told my wife, I said, hey, you got to give me like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Because
I fumble my way through this.
I was scared to death. Like, I don't know what I'm missing.
Yeah.
Like, I've never written an offer.
Well, and isn't that like, that is one thing that when I talk to people who are considering coming into the industry or people who are new to the industry, a lot of people, team leaders, like broker owners, will kind of sell this as easier than it is. And they say, oh, just go through school and then you're a licensed agent. Like it is the lowest barrier of entry of any industry that I know, where you can make this kind of that has this kind of upside potential, right? And income. And so people coming into the industry, getting your license, doing that 90-hour course teaches you almost nothing about the actual day-to-day and business generation and actual execution of like writing contracts and negotiating.
Yeah.
So it's that for me was like a big like expectation shift where I went through the course and I was like, I learned absolutely nothing that I was hoping to understand.
Right, yeah.
So now I got to go get a coach. Like I got to go now learn.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. How do I negotiate this offer? What is a good offer writing strategy? Like how do I help this? I have one right now. How do I help this contingent offer person? Like how do I help them navigate? Like, is it better to do some kind of bridge loan, or is it better to like try and get pre-approved with both of their houses? All the things, like there's cost, right?
Right.
What makes the most sense for them? You don't learn any of that.
No.
And if you don't have a bunch of kind of ballers around you, who are talking about, like, we talk about offer strategy all the time, and what's the market feel like to you guys? Like now we do pre-inspections on every listing. Well, if you don't do that, and we see the ones that don't, and so then I tell our buyers, we can do pending inspection, and then if you like, we literally is going to give you like 5 days to decide if you like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to cost you $500 to get it inspected, but you can walk away.
Yeah.
And, so like, we don't want to have that as a reason, ability for people to get out of a contract.
Exactly.
So we do that up front, but you don't learn any of that.
No.
But that also makes it so, like, when we're dealing with the young chucks, right, who this is their first offer, like, there's a bunch of opportunity and there's a bunch of frustration because they don't know jack squat.
Yep.
And so, like, they're putting in this case, their buyer in peril because they don't know anything. Yeah. Like, they don't know what to ask or to write or anything.
And that's what I've seen, and especially in the last 5 years, is the biggest struggle in our industry that I deal with and that I see are the agents who aren't surrounded and have support, and who, like, you're almost having to coach the other agent, a co-broker on the other side, through a lot of the transaction, which, like, is tough because you want them to be looking out for their client, but you're looking out for your client. So, there's a balance for sure there. What is your favorite part about real estate? Like, what do you just love about it? What fires you up about real estate?
Well, I would guess, like, home tours with, like, the family of 14.
Yeah.
Like, knowing that we can help them win. Yeah, like, not just, well, I just went to, this, I just went to a memorial service for a gal who's 43 and she passed away. And she was one of my clients. I think I sold her a house 5 years ago. I was her first major purchase after her losing her husband to cancer. And Teresa, my wife, Teresa always says that I have to have some kids that I'm working with. Like, I literally tell them, if you were my daughter, this is what I would tell you to do. So that makes my heart happy, is that, like, I'm really, really protecting them. And so, like, my family of 14, I would say, like, the mom is my age. She wasn't on the contract or anything, but the mom is in here. And I'm said, like, if your mom was my sister, I would say, do this. Or I said to them, we looked at these 4 houses, but honestly, I wanted him to move to our area. I said, but, like, the only reason that it's as high on the list for you guys as it is because it has a big backyard and you have a dog. And I said, this is going to sound really weird, but how old is your dog? And they said, well, like 9. I said, what kind of dog is it? And it's a big dog. And I'm like, so, like, I'm not trying to be rude, but are you really everybody has said this is a long drive to work. Everybody. And so are you setting yourself up for some discouragement later, disappointment later, when the dog finally passes away? Like, nobody gets off the planet alive, including dogs. And so sooner or later, your dog's going to pass, and then you're going to be thinking, we bought this house because of the dog that we no longer have. So, like, just being able to be, like, really transparent and truth-telling with them. And, like, I'm not trying to be mean. Like, they're emotional about this house, and, like, I want to sort of separate that emotion with here. But what about this?
Yeah, that's such a great point, because I think, like, one of the unspoken superpowers that we have as real estate agents navigating people through these transactions is the ability to separate the emotion and pull the emotion out of decisions for them. Like, obviously, there's a time that you want to capitalize on that emotion, right? And by capitalize, I don't mean take advantage of, but I mean use the momentum and the motivation of that emotion when they walk into a house and love it. Like, that's when you make quick decisions and you get in there and you write the offer and you get them on a contract. And then there's times that you slow it down and you say, well, let's challenge your thinking a little bit in regards to these couple of things. And of course, they then took your advice, and gladly so.
Yeah. So my contingent client sent me a couple houses, and so they looked at Joe's house first, and they loved Joe's house. Joe's house is way out, 10 acres surrounded by woods. Can't see any of the neighbors' houses, and he's a lieutenant at Everett Police. And so he's like, I love this. This is like, I'm way out in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's nobody around me. This is so peaceful. And so one of the houses that they sent me today to go look at, literally the first picture, you can see the neighbor's house right here. And I'm like, hey, time out.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm totally happy to show you this house. I like touring with these people. They're fun.
Yeah.
I said, but is this really going to get you what you want? Because literally there's not even a tree in between. Like there's about 50 feet based on the pictures in between your houses and not even a tree. Like, are you sure you want to go see that? And she's like, hey, thanks for pointing that out. No, we don't want to see it.
Totally. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, being able to say like remember the details that they tell you at these showings, remember what they liked about different properties, and then bringing it back up. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I like being able to, like at the end of the day, we're problem solvers, right?
Yes, exactly.
And so solutions providers. So yeah, that's the part I like.
Yeah. How do you deal with mentally, find strength through struggle in a commission-only career? Like how do you mentally kind of balance that with the realities of needing to make money?
Yeah, well, I mean, first off, you have to have a lot of belief that you're good enough to pull this off, right? You have to have some reserves. So like if it's getting down to the end, you're going to have commission breath. So like if you don't have very much reserves, then maybe this isn't a great career for you. I've had a lot of people actually say, there's no way I could do that. And the people that come from a 9-to-5 or a corporate job, that, like I came from at the tire dealership before I moved into the actual ownership, like literally I took in a $70,000 bonus check into the bank and I said, can I actually just cash this? Like, and they're like, yep, we know it'll be good.
Wow.
And like, okay, that's security, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Like,
yeah.
All of everything is paid for, where in our world now, like nothing is.
Right.
Like,
nothing's guaranteed.
You eat what you catch.
Right.
And so, I mean, I think that if you're timid, or you're a bit of a nervous Nelly, it's going to be a harder jump. If you've got somebody in the background who's got financial assets that can support you, and you can just do it at whatever level you want, then I think it's fine, because then you can ball or not ball as much as you want. But as like in my world, I am the sole income earner in our house, and so like, you got to make hay when the sun shines. And like we know right now, it's 3 times the work for half the pay.
Yeah.
And so, but that just means that you got to work.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so if you're afraid to work, well, that's a problem.
Yeah. You're probably not going to make it. You're probably not even listening to this podcast if you're afraid to work.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, but it's also having people around you that are supportive, like collaborators, encouragers of, hey, you just got to keep going. Like life is hard. And I mean, this is kind of dumb, but a couple years ago, I ran a marathon, and when I got to I'll get choked up again. When I got to the finish line, all my grandkids were there. And Teresa said, just a couple minutes ago, they were all crying. I said, why? And she said, well, because they saw all these people finishing and how much they were suffering. And they said they didn't want to see Papa suffer. And I said, part of the reason that I wanted to do this is so they could see that suffering isn't bad.
Ooh,
right?
Yeah.
So like,
So good.
like it's like when you lose, like you're in competition season, so like you're doing something that's really hard that almost nobody is ever going to do. If you lose 50 pounds, if you lose 100 pounds, all those things, look, like those are really good. Dave Goggins calls them like his cookie jar things. Like,
yeah.
So I ran a marathon at 60, and I started basically in February, and I did it in June from scratch at 255 pounds. Like, okay, it wasn't fast. It doesn't matter if it was fast.
Yeah.
People ask,
done.
Yeah, people ask me what my time was. I said I finished.
Yeah, I have no idea.
No, I do know, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because like I'm not a runner.
Yeah.
Like,
nope.
I'm a Jack Grandpa. Like Jack Grandpas shouldn't be runners. But like those kinds of things give us like confidence to do other things. So we talk about domains all the time. If you're struggling in this domain over here and you get through that, you know that it's going to help you over here in these other domains, right? So like if you're winning in telling yourself no, and like in your fitness, like telling yourself, no, you're not going to eat that. Like that is a discipline. Discipline equals freedom. Well, that freedom then translates over here into maybe balance when you wanted to take a nap, but your wife wants you to do something else. Right. So like it all goes in together. And I think that a lot of people before we came to Warrior, it was okay to win in 1 or 1.5 domains. But for us now, it's like, no, like that doesn't mean you have to be ascending. We talk about ascending.
Mastering.
You have to. It doesn't mean you have to be ascending at the same rate of all the domains at the same time. But it drags all of them up.
Yes.
When you're winning in these other things. Yeah. And so I think the struggle is really helpful in life. Like getting through. So to answer your question differently, our son, when he was 17, was 40 minutes without his own pulse. That was early in 2008, March 22nd, 2008. He was 17 years old, 6'1", 185 pounds, MVP of the soccer league, total stud athlete, 4.0 student, like heartthrob of all the girls, and 40 minutes without his own pulse. And so like going through, like as a parent, like what just happened? Yeah. Right. What is God trying to tell us? Yeah. And then ironically, in September of 2008 happened. Yeah. And I told Grant, well, sorry, bud. You part of the reason that you had to go through that is to get us ready to go through that, to go through the next thing, so like, here's a balance kid, like parental part. Over here is business. They're not really linked, and they're totally linked. Absolutely. Right? Yeah. And so like your guys' struggle in 2008 helped you in 2017, that then helps you today, right? Exactly. Yeah. In all the things. So, I mean, I think that the struggle is really good, even though most of the time when we're right in the middle of it, we hate it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like every struggle that you deal with in any domain prepares you mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually for dealing with bigger struggles in any other domain, right? Yeah. Like just because we had like business issues, like that's the mental toughness and the resiliency and the grit that we had to exercise, that we had to build through those really tough years in business translate really well now to going through prep and the mental struggle that it is every single day, not taking one bite off plan, making sure I get all my meals in, prioritizing the workouts, right? Yeah. It's a lot. So that totally makes sense. When you think about somebody who may have experienced real estate, so we kind of spoke to new people, right? Thinking about coming in. But what about the people who have maybe experienced some level of success, especially in the fun years, the 2020, 2021, when the buyers were plentiful and the market was insane and super fun, everybody's getting paid left and right, and who are now maybe silently struggling. Like maybe they've kind of hit this wall where they're like, I don't know if I can make it anymore in this industry. Like what kind of advice would you give to that person to kind of get through this season of struggle?
Yeah, well, I mean, so Rachel knows us. So right now, a bunch of my bandwidth is going to our being domain with church and school stuff, and like I don't really love it, and it's where God's got me right now. So like for somebody who, the reason I bring that in is you have to make the main thing the main thing. And so a lot of times people want to like say, well, that really isn't the main thing. So for me right now, I have a lot of things. I have a lot of capacity, not as much as Mike, but I have a lot of capacity. And I'm burning a lot of hours, and like that's who I am. That's not who my wife is. It's totally fine. I don't want her necessarily. We don't need more of me or Mike's, or use.
We got plenty of us.
Yeah. But we do need us, right? Yeah. Like the world needs us crazy people, and we also need the people who are more calm, right? Yeah. And so It really depends on, I think, on their personality type. I mean, we can get discouraged. You and I can get discouraged. It doesn't feel like Mike can, but we can get discouraged because we're higher I maybe. And so like we're a little more connected with people.
Emotional.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we can get discouraged. But if you're a high D, if you have a higher D, and you've had success, well, then it's just it literally is a decision.
Yeah.
D. It's a decision of like, do I want to make this the main thing?
Right.
And if you don't want to make it the main thing, it's totally fine. I already said, start something else. But like at the end of the day, like, where are you going to make this kind of money?
Exactly.
Like, are you willing to put in the work to do this?
Right.
Or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't, you're going to keep having the same exact things as you do.
Yep.
So for me, I really need to take some of my being domain calendar slots off my calendar because I need to focus on business.
Yeah.
And so like I have to make the main thing because it is way harder.
Yeah. Yeah. You go through seasons where you have to prioritize a domain maybe a little bit more, accentuate a little bit more,
right.
Put a little bit more energy into it for sure. Yeah. It's like, when it comes to the mentality of staying in the industry or not, I think where it starts to go wrong is considering other options, right? Like the second that if you've been in real estate for a while and maybe you're struggling right now, maybe it's, the market is really tough. It's really tough. It's still going. It's still possible. We're still selling houses,
yeah.
But it's much, much more difficult. To your point, you're doing 3 times the work for half the pay right now, which that's just the market that we're in. But the second that you kind of go, what else could I do? Or consider this as an option instead of the main thing, that's like the first tiptoe into potential failure in
right.
this domain. You know what I mean? And so like it's for us, there's never a question. Like this is the main thing,
yeah.
right? And we continue to make it the main thing and we continue to prioritize it and treat it like the main thing. And by funneling that energy consistently into there without waffling on the decision keeps us all going, right? Keeps our
right.
business running.
Yeah. Yeah. So you could, to your point, I mean, it is the tiptoe off the path is like, it's, in my mind, I had a slip and slide on a hill.
Okay.
in mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to get very many steps, and you're going to be slamming the back of your head against the grass, and you're going to be flying down this hill. But it's your choice, right? It's your life, and so don't waffle on it. Decide, okay, I have to double or triple down over here to make the same amount of money. I literally talked to a gal. We were in a transaction together last fall, and she's been an agent for 20, I think she told me 20 years, solid agent, and like was great to work with, was really looking out for her clients, like it was really good. She knows what she's doing. Mm-hmm. And she, towards the end, she's like, man, this has just been a really tough year. It's super hard. And she said, I'm thinking about like doing something else. And I'm like, time out. Like it has nothing to do with me.
Of course.
Like it's your life. It's your decision. I totally get it. But let's just pause here a second. You're selling, she's not on a team, so like maybe that's part of it. You're selling a house that's $700,000. You're going to get a check for 2.5% of that, and you don't have to split it with anybody. So tell me, where are you going to go that you can make, what is that, $17,000, $16,000? Where are you going to go that you can make $16,000 or $17,000 in 1 month? Mm-hmm. Like you go get a job somewhere. And I'm totally not trying to talk you out of this, but if you go get a job somewhere and you make $25 or $30 an hour, let's say you make $30 an hour, that's $60K a year, quick math. And then you're going to have all of the deductions. So you're going to make 50. You have to do 3.5 of these transactions for the whole year to make that money.
Such a good perspective. Like, yeah.
I said, like, I get it. It's super hard, but like, are you going to just be able to jump over and make $150,000 somewhere? Probably not. Maybe. But I mean, she's been a real estate broker for 20 years. I don't know where she's going.
Right.
That she's going to make that kind of money.
Yeah.
And so like, it really is like looking that gift horse. The gift horse for us is real estate. And like, yeah, I mean, it sucks that it's way harder, and it's going to eliminate a bunch of people.
Well, when you have the mentality like we do, like on our team, we it's just like it takes what it takes. It's not like it takes my best or it takes, everything. It's like it simply takes what it takes. Like if you remove the emotion and the feeling of it being hard and the feeling of not wanting to and the feeling of, well, it used to be easier and it should be a certain way, remove the emotion completely from the equation and simply recognize that in this industry, it takes what it takes to get the results. Period. So whether that's 1 year where I sold 52 homes and I made 54 phone calls, for those and boom, we're good. Or now we're making thousands of phone calls and we're closing half as many deals, right? Like that's just what it takes.
Yeah.
And so having that mentality really can kind of get you through that. So, all right, as we wind down, walk me through how your perspective on success has changed throughout your life. And what is success the same to you now? What does it mean to you now as it was 20 years ago as a tire guy?
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of a funny perspective shift, especially as you have kids and then grandkids, right? I remember so I came into the tire business, started at the bottom. I was in the restaurant business before that. And I was probably one of the youngest people at the restaurant, and I was the assistant manager. And I'm still actually friends with the owners of that. It's not that restaurant anymore, but we're still friends. And like for him, he said I have that it thing. Like I didn't know what that really meant,
Sure.
Like we're just different, right? Yeah. And he could see that, and he still sees that today. He's like, I don't have anybody that I can give the keys to, meaning I don't have anybody who actually wants to take on this responsibility for the financial benefit,
right.
Even today. But I left that pretty good position and a really favored position because like he saw me as his all-American kid. And I mean, he was a train wreck. He still is a train wreck. But he's a smart business guy and knows how to make money in restaurants. So like I was in a good spot, and I was just like, I see this Les Schwab thing, and like they paid for retirement. Like I'm 19 years old. Like, what am I thinking about retirement for? Right? And so at that time, I literally left that good thing for this good thing, starting from the bottom, like, and a really hard way to make a living. And it was super fun.
Very physical.
It was fun. Because it was fun because we had a really good team, right? And there was some craziness, but I remember thinking, because I was friends with the manager, just like I'm friends with the Novaks, right? Like he was the guy.
Yep.
And I was one of the youngest guys on the team, and like I didn't really care. Like I liked him. I still like him. I literally had breakfast with him when we went to Arizona.
Okay.
And he's older than me, but we talked about going RVing when we retired. Like getting in an RV and like have our 2 RVs, and we're just going to go drive around. Right. So like that seemed like a successful thing. And then as we moved to be assistant manager and a manager, I remember taking Teresa to Gig Harbor to a Street of Dreams thing, which in our area, they have like just kind of crazy houses.
Yeah.
And we did a bunch of them in the stone business, ironically. But I remember touring these houses, and I said to her, we're going to have a house like this. And like, I thought it was going to be with Les Schwab, right? I thought it was going to be part of, so like in my head, that was success, like just go up the ladder, be a assistant manager, zone manager, like wherever it goes. But this tire business is going to get me this big baller house. So like, I guess that was in my head, like security and cool house. And then when I started in the stone business, we actually built a really cool house. And I just posted yesterday, like, it's weird. You've done this very recently. It's weird when you design and build your own house and then you sell it. Like you can't really appreciate that until you do it.
Yeah.
And so like Teresa didn't want me to build this crazy house because she's like, we don't need this big house. And I'm like, well, I want to do it. And so I was doing it while running the granite countertop company. And it was super fun, really challenging. It turned out amazing, exactly like I almost wouldn't change anything.
Wow.
And she walked in. It was 2.5 times bigger than our last house. That she said that she didn't even want this house, and she said that one was fine. And she said in 1 month she felt like the big house, as we call it, was home.
Wow.
And it took her like 3 years to say that at the little house.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay. So like we had that success, and then while we were, so like in real estate terms in 2021, it was just like,
right.
That 2005, 2006, 2007 was like that in the stone business.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like
those builders, it was plentiful. Yeah.
I mean, and we had a really cool niche because I would actually travel to these other countries, hand pick the slabs, put them in a container, deliver them to our shop. We were like first rate, like it was really cool. And so my idea of success then would have been to like have more locations, okay, like what am I doing driving over to the Tri-Cities where my restaurant friend is? Like, wouldn't it be cool just to have an airplane?
Yeah.
Like
fly over for the day.
So you just like all of a sudden think, okay, here's what success looks like is like I'd like to have a private jet.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden God says, hey, time out. 2008 is going to happen. Might want to have a little check on that. So that that's a really humbling restart.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, then it's a priority. Like, okay, what is really important? I think I've told you this story. These people haven't heard the story. So one of my clients in the countertop business was a builder. And the husband had never done anything but build houses for himself. So kind of like Mike was before 2008. Like this is the only thing he'd ever done. And in 2004, 2005, 2006, they were buying countertops from us and like selling these houses. And she was a real estate broker. And she's like, our life was just amazing. Like we didn't even look at a budget. We didn't have to budget. Like we just did things and money just kept pouring in. Like it was nuts. And she said, and then 2008 hit. And she's like, oh no. And they had the same experience as you, like start zero. Yep. His mom owns a manufactured home park down like in Kent. He's up here. Okay. He went to be the handyman, the maintenance man for that park.
Oh, wow.
And she went to work at Walmart. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like from doing
plentiful
all the things.
To humble.
She did the exact same thing that you guys did. They were building their dream house right in front of their mother-in-law's house. Like in this lot right in front, and they lost it. And so every holiday they have to drive by that house like that they were building.
Yeah.
And they lost it. She's like, but that isn't the crazy part. The crazy part is all of our friends, all the people that we hung out with, as couples, either committed suicide or went bankrupt.
Wow.
Or divorced.
Sure.
And she's like, except us.
Wow.
And she's like, it's so life-changing. And so like now we step back and think, like we were stupid. Like what were we doing? Right? Because like you have all of this money and you think like this is the thing.
Yeah.
And
like
it's
that's
like
the pinnacle of success.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, but like what are you doing with that money?
Yeah.
So then as like that was a really good perspective change. Teresa's comment about like we literally started with nothing. When I remember going to the Olympic game farm in Sequim and it hopped into our car and there was no credit cards back then. I mean, we got married in 83. This probably was before we even got married. So we just went on a day trip. And I think I probably had like $100. And thinking, I hope my car doesn't break down. Because we're driving like 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
And it like, okay, things have changed a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So like now what does success look like? It really is like setting up my kids and grandkids for success later. So like, I mean, we get to travel, and our grandkids, some of them are pissed when we go on vacation without them, which like, that's great. Like, at least they like us.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
But, like looking at your kids and thinking, wow, we did that.
Mm.
And, my kids, they're not perfect, but they're doing it so much better than we were doing it.
Mm.
And so, if I make money, that's great. I get to support them. But that's what do you buy with that?
Mm.
Right.
Mm.
And so yeah, we get to go on fun trips and we really work our asses off in all the domains. We do. But at the end of the day, you can have a whole bunch of money and those kids and grandkids are where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't, I have I'll say a friend. I had a client in the actually he was in the countertop business as well, but in the tire business, and he was a pilot for a private guy. So this guy owned the Bayliner brand before it sold to Brunswick. He was one of the owners. He got 400 million of the 500 million. So they sold it. And so this guy, he has a wealth management company that sits at his hangar. He toured me through the hangar. This is baller lifestyle. Whoa, what in the world? And he's like, it's really, he's like, I finally had to quit. And I'm like, why'd you quit that deal? He's like, well, I mean, things like, he wants to go to Fiji at Thanksgiving, and this guy has a family, and he's like, and his family doesn't want to join him, and he literally will pick them up in his $25 million private jet and take them and fly them onto the helicopter to spend time on a 165-foot boat. That's everything is done for you. And he's like, and they don't want to join him. And he's like, did he win?
Right. Is that successful?
So the saying, he who dies with the most toys wins. Really?
Yeah.
That guy didn't win.
Right.
So we talk about in Warrior Code, if you're, that guy totally won in business.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah. 100 millionaire. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, literally now, if he's still alive, he's a billionaire for sure. Yeah. That money didn't just go away.
Right.
But he, I don't know him, but he lost in balance for sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I saw a couple pictures of him. He's losing in body. And so okay, to win, to get an A in one domain and to get D's, C's, F's in the other ones, you didn't win.
Right.
And so, even in the last 6 months, my idea of success has really even changed. My perspective has changed with Warrior. And I know we talk about it a lot, but it really is a game changer.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Well, is there any final parting words that you want to give? Any encouragement, any inspo? We've gone through your whole journey. We've gone through the ability to start over and create a successful career and dominate each domain after 50 years old, which is incredible. Very encouraging to a lot of people, I'm sure. Any final words?
Are these people on Warrior?
Some maybe, but I think
if you're not on Warrior, I would definitely do some research into that. It really is. I think that we were all running at a higher level than most, not than everybody, but than most. And then when Mike started, and then the rest of us started kind of peering under the hood of what he was doing, we were this is different. And it was a pretty serious level up from already a high level. I would say, it's not as big of a decision as where you're going to spend eternity, but it's a pretty big decision.
Yeah.
To leave a bunch of things on the table when really all you have to do is to face the facts and to start being truthful with yourself, and then saying, okay, what am I going to do about where I'm at? I think is a really helpful process for I don't know anybody that can't benefit from it.
Yeah, I totally agree. So what Chuck's talking about is the Warrior Movement, our Warrior Agent Coaching Company, and then I have the Wartime CEO Mastermind for the ladies as well. So yeah, it's been kind of the game changer in our business and in all of our personal lives who are still on the team. To really be able to live with incredible intention and proactivity and not live in a state of reactivity ever. Just wow, it's been a game changer.
Yeah, and then we've talked recently about like it's exhausting to be working on all the domains at all the time, to be trying to level them up, because I think for most people, you get to a place of homeostasis. So like this is what I do all the time, and like that's a comfortable place, and people like to be comfortable. Like when you go home, you like to be comfortable. Even us drivers like to be comfortable at times. And so for a lot of people, it really is a stretch. But if you want to really like experience, I think, more of what you're supposed to be doing in life here, I have never seen anything that is like this.
Yeah.
And so again, like I'm not getting paid for that.
I was gonna say, thanks for the shameless plug, Jeff. Yeah.
But it really is true. And it's a lot of work, just like real estate. It's a lot of work, and it's not bad. Like, do the work.
Yeah. Do the work. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Chuck.
Yeah.
This has been fun. This has been really enjoyable. We will see you next time on the Growth Drivers Podcast.
See you.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Growth Drivers.
If you found value in this conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with a fellow entrepreneur.
For more insights, tools, and resources, visit us at thewarrioragent.com.
Keep pushing forward, keep leading with purpose, and we'll see you next time.